Now they know it's for the name, the legacy.
I'm going to share something with you. That might put me in a very negative light, yeah.
Relationships are not my forte.
See if someone grabbed up my wife or something completely different ballgame.
I'll walk away from it, and this has been like a therapy session.
This is Colin McGuigan for AFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. I've never seen a man so happy to speak to him, McGuigan. I'm with Carl Frampton here. Carl, how's things? All good?
Yeah, I'm doing well, mate. That's a good line like that.
It was a good line, wasn't it?
Where did you get that?
Obviously, I've been thinking about it since our last interview. I was like, I need to get that in. Nah, I'm only messing. Obviously, massive news coming out in this last hour. I've seen your tweets and I've got on to you straight away because I could sense in your tweets how angry you were about this. Talk to me about your thoughts on what we're hearing so far.
It's just stinking. It really is stinking, and it pisses me off that fighters are doing this, and I at a point when I was in the middle of my career, I imagine if someone had asked me, how rife is this, is drugs or performance enhancing drugs in boxing, I would have said, I don't think it's going on that much. But just the more and more I hear about it, it's just happening more and more often. High profile guys getting caught, and it's just horrible. I genuinely, and I know you without going fucking fully mental here. I just believe if you're caught with any performance enhancing drug, you should be banned. Like, you should be banned for life, genuinely. And in a sport where there's obviously the danger is you can take another man's life if that happens. We've seen it before. It's horrible, but it happens on very rare occasions, but it has happened before, and it's wrong, and it infuriates me genuinely. I just hate it.
Talk to me about the actual process, because people who will be listening to this interview don't actually know how it works. So at the moment, they've said that they're waiting on a B test result, but the way you've explained it in your tweet, explain that to me.
Yeah, it's the same stuff. So the B test is when you do a piss test or a blood sample, you piss into a beaker and the blood is taken, but then it's put into two different containers. So it's the same blood. It's just, that's what it is. So unless sample A or container A has been contaminated, which sounds a bit mental, doesn't it? Who's going to be doing that? Because it's all very above board, and you have to check all these serial numbers and make sure they all match up, and everything's very tightly sealed. It's just so, I said it, it's just, same piss, different container. I don't know if it was blood or urine or whatever the test came from, but I'm hearing, I don't know how accurate this is, but I'm hearing that it was a sample taken in August. So why are we just hearing about it now? If that's to be the case, why are we just hearing about it now? And if it was a sample taken in August, why has sample B not been tested yet? If that's the case as well, there's so many questions around it, and it just puts another dark, shady light on boxing. And in terms of, I think the Board of Control have come out and said the fight's off, right? You have to give them credit for that. And I think they had to say that, but fair play to them. They had the balls to stand up and say that. What may happen, I hope it doesn't, we've seen it before where the promoter just goes and gets a license from another governing body, whether it's Luxembourg or Malta or wherever, and the fight can take place. If that happens, it's a joke. It really is a joke. But at least the British Boxing Board of Control have kind of stood up here and said that the fight should no longer take place or shouldn't take place under their jurisdiction anyway. It's shit. Like, it really, really is shit. There should be no grey areas. There should be nothing. If you fail a test, that should be it. There shouldn't be, what if? You know what I mean? There should be nothing. There's been guys failed with Um, I think Chavez failed on marijuana before, but potentially this fight was still going to go ahead up until the Board of Control stepped in. Do you know what I mean? It's just, yeah, it's horrible. And I don't know much. I don't know much about this drug that Conor Benn is taken, or it's been caught with. I don't know much about it, but I was just doing a wee bit of research and it's talking about it. Increases testosterone by up to 200% in small amounts. It's like it's fucking hell. Yeah, but it just makes you suspicious about everything and more suspicious. And even me being, see if someone came to me and says, we can give you this stuff, right? It's not legal, but I can disguise it. And I would have said, get the fuck away from me. I'm not taking that. But it was never suggested to me. And the more and more I think about it, I can be very, very proud of what I done in my sport, drug free, considering I think it's probably a lot more rife than we'd like to believe.
You referenced something that I need to talk to you about. You said about the possibility of this going to another governing body, Luxembourg, Czech Republic. I've seen all these things flying about on social media. If I know that happened with Hey Chisora, but that was a different situation altogether. If that was to happen again, you've said you'd be very disappointed, but would you expect bans from the British Boxing Board of Control if that was to happen?
Who are they going to ban? Matchroom?
Well, this is the thing, because
that's the thing. I know, but they need Matchroom are such a big organization and they bring so much revenue and everybody's making money. They can't ban Matchroom. You know what I mean? But they can, and they probably should if that's what happens, if they go to another governing body and do it. But they won't. It won't happen. Yeah, it's fucking.
Could you see it going to another governing body though?
Potentially. Potentially, I would hope not, but I think everybody will be harshly criticised if it does. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see statements from Team Benn. What it just makes there's a cloud of suspicion over everything now. You know what I mean? Everybody linked to him, and it's wrong. It maybe shouldn't be that. You can't until someone tests positive for a performance enhancing drug. You shouldn't have this, but there's just a cloud of suspicion around everything that goes on.
Well, Eddie Hearn's just done an interview, just as you were coming on this call with Matchroom, and he said in that interview that the lawyers are still back and forth with the British Boxing Board of Control. He hasn't ruled out the possibility of the fight being on still, and he also has said Conor Benn will come out to the media workout here in the next 5 to 10 minutes. If that does happen, like Eddie Hearn is saying that it will happen, do you think that's a bigger cloud over boxing then? That this is actually going to happen after all of this?
Look, there's so much money to be made in this fight. It's a huge fight, and obviously the backstories of the dads and everything else. And I'm sure it was a sellout, and they were expecting to do big numbers and pay-per-view. Here's the funny thing. If the fight does actually go ahead now, so I'm getting a lot of glare, sorry about covering my head here, but if the fight does go ahead, these guys will make more money off the pay-per-view revenue after this, which is wrong. It's wrong, but it'll happen if it goes ahead. It's just, yeah. Does it make it? I don't know what to say.
Does it make it more applicable to speak about Chris Eubank Sr.'s position in this fight because of the fact that now this has happened? He's already saying it's dangerous before. Unfortunately, he's in a mental health hospital. I think he's just been discharged yesterday. Does that kind of resonate a bit more to say this probably shouldn't happen? He obviously has a reason for not wanting this fight to happen.
Yeah, but I don't know if you can kind of link the two together. In my opinion, I thought it was with Junior getting down to the weight. So I don't know if Chris was suggesting there was drugs involved or performance enhancing drugs or not. I assumed that he was talking about the weight difference and Junior having to come down and do the weight. But I'll tell you this, for nothing, everybody, if this fight does go ahead, will be backing Chris Eubank Jr. to do an absolute job on Conor Benn, and that's the top and bottom of it. And Conor Benn, I'm so disappointed and annoyed, but he's someone I've really sung his praises about how much he's improved over the last number of years. Yeah, but now you're asking, has he improved so quickly? You know what I mean? That's the question that's in people's heads now.
If I'm asking you right now if Conor Benn should fight again, what's your immediate reaction to that?
I think he will, but I don't think anybody who's failed a drug test before should not fight again. Like, see, when I was an amateur, I was shit scared of taking anything. Like, we knew what multivitamins we were allowed to take, and that was it. We weren't allowed to buy anything over the counter that we didn't know what was what. Like, it was so stringent. Like, for a while, I had a psoriasis, right? So psoriasis is stress induced. It can come if you're in a stressful situation. I had it all over my legs and arms when I fought Alejandro Gonzalez in El Paso. And so much stuff, I was embarrassed by it. I used to, for that fight only, and never done it before, I pulled my socks right up high to my knees to hide the psoriasis on my legs and stuff. And I went to see a doctor about it, and I was offered this topical ointment that he says would clear it up. But it was a spray you put on your skin, and I didn't want to take it because I was so worried that because there was a steroid in this drug, and I would feel, I don't even know if the steroid would get into your blood system being on the skin, but because of that reason, I didn't take it. So that's the measures I was going to make sure I was clean. And this old line, oh, I didn't know, I bought something over the counter. Don't fucking buy something over the counter. Don't buy. We're a professional athlete. Don't buy something, especially at this level that these guys are at. Don't be buying things over the counter, and don't use that as an excuse because it's a shit one.
Playing devil's advocate here, Conor Benn comes out, holds his hand up, says that this was due to a fertility reason. He needed to take it. He didn't realize it was on it. Should he be given another chance? Just based on the fact that sometimes it is, like you've just said, you've went to serious lengths there. Not everyone in this sport is going to go to the lengths you went to. Not everyone in this sport is going to reach the heights you reached either. So that has to be taken in comparison, that some people maybe just are a bit lax on this type of thing.
No, I don't think so. They shouldn't be lax. Just sorry about that. You know what I mean? You just shouldn't be. And my understanding and the little I know about this drug is that it's used in women to help promote fertility, not men. So, it's just not, unless they have some fucking mad excuse. I can't see that happening anyway, but it'll be really interesting to see what does get said.
Eddie Hearn has come out and said that he's passed all the UCAD testing. So that's the testing that the board use. So the VADA testing is separate to that. Do you think that's a viable excuse in this circumstance?
When did he pass it? When did he pass UCAD testing? Like, so what could have happened, and I'm not saying this is happening, but if this is a negative test from months ago, that could be when he's on a cycle. So if you tested him right now, he'd probably be clean because he's off that cycle. Now, I'm not suggesting that that's what he was doing, but I'm saying there was an adverse finding in, I believe, August is what I've been told on a sample. It's, and then the whole suspicion about him not enrolling in the WBC anti-doping program, it all just raises eyebrows and makes us very, very suspicious.
Do you lose faith in this sport at times like this whenever you hear this? And obviously
all the time, but it just keeps happening. It just keeps happening. I love this sport. Like, I really love it, and it gave me loads of opportunities, and it gave me a very good life and a comfortable life. But yeah, I do lose faith in it, but I love it. So at some point, and not that I'll forget about this, but it'll dilute down in my head. It doesn't affect me personally what these guys have done. So I just let it carry on, and stringent. Something needs to be done, and I think there needs to be more deterrence, and I think that fines and bans should be much more harsh than what they are. And this whole cop out of, I'm sorry, I didn't know what I was taking. It's fucking, it's not a good enough one for me.
Do you think if the British Boxing Board of Control came out and said, Conor Benn, you're banned for life, that would stop others from doing this going forward?
Probably, but me saying that, right? So I would say any drug cheat should be banned for life. But then you go back and look at the previous drug cheats that have happened, years, 2 years, 3 years, and start banning all lemons. How does it work? So it would be very unfair from that point of view to ban Conor Benn for life. But we've seen it before, and the bigger the name, it's like they get these 6-month bans and stuff. But fighters don't fight that regularly, so they can be in training camp and then fight a week after their 6-month ban. It's just something needs to be done about it. I don't know exactly what, but I know that a lot of people are just, I suppose, disillusioned with sport. I
think Frampton, VADA tester ambassador role coming up for you, and you can get
see me, right? See when I signed up to UCAD for random testing when I fought Scott Quigg, right? So I was given the opportunity to sign up. So they came to me, sign up for the Quigg fight for UCAD. I had been tested before that, but it was normally on fight night. So it wasn't like random tests. I was tested as an amateur, but the Quigg fight was the one I signed up where the tests were random. For a while in my career, I honestly believe I must have been the most tested fighter in the UK. And I remember Barry McGuigan used to say that it's because you're so lean, you have to get so lean for your fights. And do you know what? He might have had it might have been right. Who knows? He might have been right on that occasion, but I was tested so much as a fighter when I was befitted pre-camp, while I'm in camp, before and after, like all the time, and that was blood on urine. So why can everybody else not be tested like me? You know what I mean? And I was a clean one.
But again, we don't know the facts of Conor Benn. Has he been tested numerous times? Is this what?
Yeah.
We don't know that. So it could be that he has been. And like you say, these things are done in cycles. So it's all very, I don't know exactly how it works, but the way you've explained it is that it's done in a cycle. And then towards the end, you could be off whatever.
I don't know either. This is what I'm hearing from other people. So I'm hearing that it's done in cycles, and then they go off the cycle. And as the fight approaches, then apparently you're clean. I don't know if they use something to clean it out of their system or what, or how long, some things may stay in your system more or longer than others, but I don't know. I know as much as you about it, mate.
Well, Carl, thanks a million for your time today. I know you're always making time for your favourite McGuigan, so I appreciate it. And we'll do this again very soon, mate. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm going to share something with you. That might put me in a very negative light, yeah.
Relationships are not my forte.
See if someone grabbed up my wife or something, completely different ballgame.
I'll walk away from it, and this has been like a therapy session.